part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Thank you for downloading the Chase Smith Podcast, proudly part of the Press Play Podcast Network. In this episode, I interview college football champion and former NFL player Tyvis Powell. We talk about college fandom, Urban Meyer. He shares his recruiting story and the NFL playoffs. Let's get it! Here with me, 4-year NFL vet, 2015 national champion with the Ohio State Buckeyes. You can hear him on 97.1 The Fan in Columbus. If you're listening to this at the end of January, for the first part of February, he's going to be popping in and out. He's our new co-host of the Orange is Orange or Browns podcast, Tyvis Powell. Tyvis, what's up, man?
Hey, man, just blessed and highly favored. Thank you so much. Look, thank you so much for allowing me to, come on this podcast with you. Also extending me that offer to be a co-host on the Orange is Oranger podcast with Holly, who is a great host. Hopefully, we plan to do some amazing things. So if anybody that's listening, please follow us along as we talk about this Browns off season. And as we go throughout next season, just follow us. We got all the insight, and it's going to be we're going to try to keep it positive.
Yeah.
We're going to, obviously it's good. Things don't go well. We're going to speak on that, but I'm a pretty positive person and I like to see the positive things, even if it's negative.
I love it, dude. I love it. People who listen to the show, I'm super positive and optimistic. I am. So it's going to be a breath of fresh air because Holly, she Ty, you were talking, Ty was talking before the show. You keep it 100. Holly keeps it over 100, man. Yes,
she does.
And so I think it's going to be a good balance. And if it's anything like the teases you and Holly have been sending me about maybe who could be on the show or what that could look like, it is just going to be a dynamic off season all around. And so we're really excited about that. Tyvis, we're just honored. And what excites me too, man, is like, we weren't the only show or network you were talking to. And it just means the word that you trust us to kind of continue on your journey as you take these steps in your career. So I think just a lot of gratefulness all around. And I think it's going to be an awesome fit, man.
It definitely should be, just a group of passionate people that's, really love the Browns and love talking about the Browns and want to see them succeed. And, just as everybody that I've met on this network has been very positive and optimistic. And, I really appreciate those things because, it's a lot of negativity going on in the world with all the stuff that's going on. It's nice to see people smiling and enjoying each other's company. So I feel that with you guys, and that's why I chose you guys.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Very, very kind words. That was not the case, though. Just a few moments ago, Tyvis, when we were talking about college football, and obviously just your accolades speak for itself. I want to talk about that, but we were talking and I kind of shared that I'm not one of these I don't even know what they're called, buck nuts or
this is a shame.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, we need to maybe pause this combo because your reactions were great. And I think you can speak to some of this stuff. So full disclosure, Tyvis, I don't have a favorite college.
That's amazing. Where are you from? Wait a minute. Where are you from? This will speak a lot. The listeners need to know, where are you from?
That's fair. And I probably have a lot of listeners who would probably. So I grew up in West Virginia, right on the Ohio River, right in Parkersburg, right across from Marietta, Ohio. So everyone loves the West Virginia Mountaineers. A lot of people went to West Virginia.
I respect that.
My family all went to Marshall and Huntington.
Okay.
I have relatives that live in Morgantown, and we went up and we went to Mountaineer football games. I mean, I'm talking like Amos Zaraway, like all those like old school. Like we saw, we went to some pit games, like the Big East style.
Now that was a rivalry right there. West V versus Pitt. That's some good ball.
West Virginia Tech, like some
back when Pat White and Steve Slayton was at West V.
Oh no, I'm talking like 90s West Virginia.
Oh man, I wouldn't even.
That was actually whenever I had friends at college, like that was like Pat McAfee, like all those.
That's a legend. That's a legend.
He is very much, and he's getting that bag right now, man. He is.
Yeah, he is. I'm trying to be like him one day.
Dude,
hopefully we can get to his status in the podcast game.
Yeah. No, we're gonna make our own status, bro. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Let's go next. We're going above and beyond that.
Yeah, man. There is no limit, man. The limit does not exist, right? Yeah.
So you should be at heart. You should kind of be more a West Virginia fan.
Yes, a lot of people that I grew up with, Mountaineer fans, or Marshall fans. My dad graduated from Marshall. My relatives graduated. My sister and her husband graduated from Marshall. My best friend played soccer for Marshall.
So you're a Marshall fan.
Well, no, not really. Like,
why not? Do you actually have ties to these places? So you
Yeah, I actually do have ties. I mean, I don't know. I fell in love with the Browns. I love Cleveland growing up. I went to Cleveland all the time. The church I grew up in, we partnered with an organization called Heaven Train. And so we would go up and Phil Batten bought a charter bus. He gutted out the inside and made it kind of like a church on wheels. And he would go around and put on like these kind of like mini church services, but then he would pass out food and other just kind of like basic stuff. And our church would partner with him and support them and send people up to Cleveland to help kind of operate the bus and the services. And so as a kid, I grew up and I would go up and we would be passing football with people in the city. We'd be like doing sidewalk chalk, jump rope, all just like hanging out all day. And it was so much fun. We got to really, really know the city. And I just fell in love with the city of Cleveland. And
that's nice. Me too. Same.
And I grew up going to the Gun, and just like I just loved it. West Virginia didn't have any pro teams.
That is some classic days.
Man. Yeah, man. West Virginia didn't have any pro teams, and so I don't know. I loved pro sports.
Well, I will tell you this. The thing I know about you, if you're a Cleveland fan, that means you are very loyal to everything in your life. You know, you could have jumped ship a long time ago when things was bad. It's just been bad for quite some time
to jump ship. Yes,
but you still here, and now things is starting to look positive. It's starting to go in the right direction. And that's not just for the Browns. You got the Cavs, and we'll see what the Guardians.
Cavs playing great. Guardians, yeah. So, like, I don't know. I want all the college teams to do well. I don't know, man.
No, you don't. No. Don't ever say that again. No. Listen, you are in Ohio. I'm going to let you become an Ohio State Buckeye fan. It'll be a lot of Saturdays where you'll be so into it, and they might start off slow, but the way they finish is so strong that you just will be happy. Your Saturdays will be so smooth. You just pick the Buckeyes to cheer for. I'm telling you.
I've turned down more tickets to Buckeye games than I've been to games.
Really? Nighttime in the shoe?
And it's not like, no, I don't, it's like there were other like, it's just, I don't know. I've been to one game, and I do have a Buckeye story.
Game?
I've been to one game.
What game was it?
Well, there's a story to it, and because I don't even remember. Here it is. All right. It was in 2017. One of my friends, he's on the network, Aaron Shipe, he hosts the Tim and Shipe show. He was like, hey, I got this extra ticket. It's a college football podcast. He's like, got this extra ticket. Let's go early. And I was like, okay, yeah. He's like, if we go early, we get to see them like march and
you see them do the walk. Then they go into the St. John's and have the skull session. Come on, it's a whole lot, man. This is tradition football right here.
Which I'd never heard of any of that. So he was like, this is your first game, I'm going to do it right.
Yeah, you got to do it. You got to do it right.
Dude, yeah. So we got there early, and dude, it was such a cool experience. Campus was beautiful, and it was this awesome like fall day. It was perfect, Tyvis. It really was. We got there early. And I guess because how we were dressed, we were in like khaki shorts and like a black and red, just kind of like nice shirt. Somehow we got ushered into the end of the walk of the team to the field. just because we were like at the end of the rope and they cut the rope off and thought we were with the team. We had to know, we're not with the team, but that gave us the idea, Tyvis, to try to get on the field. So
you might as well.
So we're at the stadium early, right? Because the team's already did all that. They're on the stadium. So we're walking around and there was this line for the field passes. And there was this charter bus who was getting off, loading into this line to get onto the field. And so we got to the end of that line, Tyvis. and so they're just like passing these like green and white field passes out. And all of a sudden they give us one and we're walking down this tunnel onto the field. I'm like, oh my gosh, Aaron, we just took someone's ticket who had this like
out the tunnel.
Yes. Like, so we're on like the main level and we're walking down. This is like an hour before the game. And I'm like super nervous. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to get kicked out. We just took some like 12-year-old's dream of coming on the field. He was so excited. Now they don't have an extra ticket. I guess it was for like, dude, it might've been for like radio stations, families. I have it right behind me. I should probably look.
This is hilarious.
And so we get on the field and he was telling me all these players, which I didn't know who they were, but he was like, oh, this is this recruit. We have the best quarterback here is so-and-so. Dude, and I don't even remember in 2017, honestly.
This is sad that you really are admitting this live.
I am. Well, and then, so like I look to my left and there's a scout for the New York Jets. Right. And I'm like, Aaron, there's a scout for the New York Jets. And about that time, Brutus walks out from the other like end zone and he's right there. And we make contact. And like our eyes meet. And
it was love at first sight, huh?
And Tyvis, like I love sports. And so we started this jog and we did like this jump shoulder like thing. And it was like the coolest thing. And then Brutus was gone. And so I'm having this experience and the team runs by us and I'm just like, what, like people? So
you telling me you ain't been a fan after this? This is the most amazing first experience I've ever heard of.
It's never going to be topped. It's never going to be topped. We're down there for like the national anthem. Someone is like, hey, like, what group are you guys with? And Aaron, thankfully, it was with radio, dude. It really was because he was like talking about who. Anyway, it was great. We didn't get kicked out. They played the UNLV, I believe.
Did they win? Oh yeah, they won the game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they won that
game. They crushed. So it was so much fun. That's the only game I've been to, man.
Wow, that's
I know. You
know what though? I haven't been to a game at the shoe in 2 years. The last game I went to was in 2019 when they played Wisconsin. That's when Chase was there and they went. It was something special that day. So
yeah. I mean, I've had people say you should be a Buckeye fan. Your sports, fandom won't be as miserable because they're always really, really good. They're always really, really good.
That's a fact.
And here I am talking to this national champion. This, if anyone, like I'm admitting this stuff to you, man. Like I don't know, like it just is. I don't know. Maybe I should be embarrassed. I'm sorry.
Sorry,
Tyvis.
It's really something to that you aren't. You do all this stuff. You live in Cleveland. You do all this stuff around
Columbus. I live like 10 minutes from the shoe.
I forgot. You live in Columbus. I mean,
yeah. I'm not even far from the shoe.
You do all this stuff for Ohio. You don't think to you are a fan of all these teams in Cleveland that are up and down. And the one consistent team, state of Ohio, that's consistently good. Yeah, you're not claiming to be a fan of it.
It's so bad. We scheduled our wedding over the weekend of the game.
Probably would have left my wife at the altar. I'm not gonna lie to you.
We did, and so we're like sending out invites, and we have this pastor who's marrying us, and he's like, "You guys realize the game is that weekend?" I'm like, "The game." Like the game,
the game.
But yeah, November 28th, man, is when we had our wedding, and I know, man. So I would love, Tyvis. You declared your junior year,
yes,
for the NFL after this national championship year. I mean, looking at this Buckeye roster, it's just incredible Tyvis and the coaches there. I mean, you had Coach Meyer, you had Coach Fickle, all these just like, and I mean, is that the best team? Would you say? I mean, I'm sure you have a lot of pride in that squad. Do you guys get in kind of these conversations about which squad's the best?
When I was there, or like Ohio State, period?
I would say just the urban tenure and kind of like.
Oh, it was hands down the best. That national championship team, because of who was on the roster, even if they were young, they were still on that roster. So I think it would be hard to beat. I think it was a couple of times where actually it was in 2019 when they lost to Clemson in the game before the national championship. The conversation was which team was better between the national championship team and that team. And it was funny because it was like, you see it, we won it all. We won it all. Like, I think our team would be better, but it was it was a little petty argument, but it was fun to talk about it like that. It's good that, people like current Buckeyes now look back on that team, and even you look back on the people that was on that roster, even if they were young,
oh my god,
and not even a key contributor. Like for example, Marshawn was a freshman that year. Marshawn Latimer was a freshman. He didn't play, but he was on that roster, and look at him now. He's like one of the highest paid corners in the league. Malik Hooker was on there, right? Like, it was just a lot of young dudes, not to mention the older dudes that was there. So yeah, that roster was stacked, man. I don't think it was. Obviously, it will be a team that will one day be better than that, because I could see them winning the national championship here soon. But that was just a special group of guys, man. Great special group of guys and very good coaches on that staff. I think a lot of those coaches, Fick, went on to be a head coach. Tom Herman went on to be a head coach. Chris Ash he was the DB coach for Jacksonville this past season. So there was a lot of people that got a lot of pay raises and a lot of they were resume builders off of that season.
What is would you say the biggest contributor to the magic of Urban Meyer? Just at the college level, everywhere it seemed like he coached, he had success.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem to be like a flash in the pan. There was something that he was able to develop and cultivate there that seemed to be magical. How would you describe that?
I think obviously it's a culture that he brings. It's tough. Like, it's really hard to play for Coach Meyer because of, he demands excellence. It's no gray area with him. You either good or you not. And it ain't no in between. And he does a great job of doing that. He makes it a very competitive program. All the winner loser days where if you lose, he makes you feel like you're a loser. He makes losing seem bad, like it's the end of the world, like it's the worst thing that can happen to you. And as you get older and go through the program, you get that disgusting taste in your mouth from losing that you say, you know what, never again. No matter what I got to do, I'm not about to lose because it's that bad. It's really the end of the world. And he gets that instilled in you. And that's why, you see his teams doing whatever it takes to win games. You see them playing hard and physical and fast because, it means that much to him. Like, losing really means that much. So I think that's one of the greatest things he's done. Also, even though he's tough and he's strict, he allows players to be themselves. So, for example, me, I'm a silly, goofy guy, And if you listen to Coach Meyer and you hear all the stories about Coach Meyer, you'll be like, man, those players are strict. They look like that. He kind of run like the New England Patriots, like when you think about the New England Patriots, you're like, oh man, they professional, stick to the script, give great answers, and then you meet Tyvis, Powell, and a lot of all the other people. And it's just these group of goofy, silly people that you like, man, they not who I thought they were. They really like relaxed and laid back. So he allows us to have fun, and that's important because it's hard to be locked in 24/7. Like, you need to have some free time to go have fun. And he allows us to do that. And that's what made him special. And that's what made that year special, because it was, even though being at Ohio State is a tough task, he allowed us to have our fun and be ourselves.
What was your recruitment experience like?
Woo, it was very interesting, is what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So my recruitment was period. You talking about period or with Ohio State?
Well, just all around. Because I don't. Again, this is my lack of fanness.
Don't even trip. I was 3-star athlete, so don't even trip.
I don't. I'm gonna say I don't think Urban was. Did Urban recruit you at Ohio State?
No.
Okay.
listen.
I didn't think so.
Hold on,
I wasn't sure.
Let me tell you how it went. Let me tell you how it went. So I had spent a ton of time going down to Ohio State games back when I was probably in the 11th grade, maybe 11th grade. And I just kept, I just wanted to build a relationship with the coaches and stuff. So I felt like if I kept going down there, how they'll be like, oh man, this kid he's developing, he looks better, he looks faster, blah, blah, blah. So I go down there, I meet Jim Tressel for the first time. The first time I meet Jim Tressel, I give him my report card. Boom, check me out, Jim, because
feels like it's a good move.
The reason I did it is because my high school head coach had given me all these horror stories about how all these great athletes have left the city of Cleveland and they got to college and they failed out. So I was like, listen, I want Jim Tressel to know that me getting grades is not going to be an issue, right?
Yeah.
So it left an impression. I think to this day he probably remembers me like, "Are you the guy? You the kid that brought me your report card when I met you?" Blah blah blah. Anyways, so after that goes down, we end up, we end up talking and having a relationship, blah blah blah. And about around May-ish, I want to say, he ended up giving me a scholarship offer, which was like, man, because before I got the Ohio State offer, like I got a couple of offers. Like I think I had like Pittsburgh, Syracuse, like I had like 14 offers or something like that. But I was always waiting for the Ohio State offer because ever since they won the national championship in 2002, I told myself that I'm going to Ohio State no matter what.
Yeah, I know. I remember where I was watching that game. That game was incredible.
It was. A lot of Miami fans is still upset about that because Miami hasn't been good since that game. So
you, baby, that was incredible for a lot of reasons, man. But, oh my gosh,
So anyways, it was like a dream come true. For a long time, the irony of meeting you is this. I was actually going to go to West Virginia for a long time because West Virginia sent me an offer, like I said, when I was a kid. Although I always wanted to go to Ohio State in about 2007 or 8-ish, something like that, when they had Pat White and Steve Slayton, I was a huge fan. I was a huge fan of Pat White. So I was like, man, they nice. Like
Rich Rodriguez really had, dude, he had, I mean, again, I just felt like he had a really good thing going.
No, he really did. And it was like, you know what? If Ohio State not gonna offer me, I'm gonna at least go to a school that I grew up watching. I wouldn't say I was a huge fan, but I watched them. It's like, okay, West V.
Yeah.
So
passionate fans, great.
Yeah, I ended up going to like I think maybe the spring game. Maybe I don't remember. It might have been the spring game. It might have been a game. I can't recall, but I was like, nice vibes there. I was like, okay, I dig Morgan. This is nice. Like, I can get with this. So, but then that Ohio State offer came, and all that, of course, went out the window. I remember getting the call. My high school coach called me. Like, he actually pulled up to my house. He was like, Tyvis, it's like, man, you did it, man. Congratulations, Ohio State for the offer.
Let's go.
And I was sitting there. Now, back in the day, you had to know me. I'd be like, why is you like playing these games with me? Like, why are you lying? Like, why would you come to my house and come up here? You know how serious that is. You can't be talking about they about to give you an offer, like joking around like that. He's like, Tyvis, I'm dead serious. Like, when they call your phone, make sure you answer the phone. So I'm sitting there like, all right, we'll see. That's where I'm at. Because I was more, as a kid, I was I need to see it to believe it type person. So sure enough, I get a call from the Columbus area code and I answer. Right? I answered the call and I'm like,
I got the biggest grin on my face. I love hearing this, man. It makes me so happy.
Listen, I was like, because you don't know what I went through. Like, I went through a lot to get this offer. It was a lot of sacrifices, the dedication, a lot of stressful days because in high school, I wasn't even getting no mail. You know how, well, you might not know, but they send out like they send out recruiting mail to players. And I'm seeing all my teammates they getting Alabama, Clemson, Texas. And I'm like, where's my mail at? Like they was like, you ain't got none. I'm like, why don't I have any mail? And I'm making plays too. So I was really upset. So to hear me get this offer just completely out of nowhere, it was crazy. Jim Tressel called me. He was like, Tyvis, do you know why I'm calling you? And I say, Jim, listen, man, I think you calling me. I think this is the call I've been waiting for since 2002. Yeah. He said, "You absolutely right, Tyvis. We want you to become a Buckeye."
That's
and
beautiful.
I'm sitting there like I just listened. It was the happiest moment of my life. I was like, "Oh my goodness!" It finally came true. So I ended up committing to Jim like a couple of days later. Jim ended up resigning, and I had to commit to Coach Fick. And then, once they like said that Urban would be the next head coach, he ended up calling me and saying, we're honoring all our recruits, all our commitments right now, so your scholarship is still good. We still expect to see you, blah, blah, blah. So I say all that to say, this was a long story, but I say all that to say, Urban didn't recruit me, but he inherited me. I wouldn't have been at Ohio State if it wasn't for Jim Tressel. So it's always shout out to Jim Tressel for that.
Yeah. Were you hype that they hired Urban Meyer? Were you pretty like?
I was.
Yeah, you gotta feel good about that hire at that time.
Yeah,
man.
I was actually. It did to me. Honestly, it didn't matter who the coach was because I didn't go. Like for me, I don't go to places for the coaches. I go there because I love there. Like I wanted to be there since I was a kid, and I didn't care who the coach would have been. It could have been freaking Michael Jackson for all I care. I just wanted to be a Buckeye. So
yeah.
Yes, but when I when I seen that it was Urban, I mean, obviously, knowing his background and his resume, it's like, okay, we in really good hands. So yeah, I was excited for that.
Well, that's incredible, man. How over the last, we were talking pre-show, 12, 18 months, I'm sure a lot of those conversations with recruiting, I mean, it has changed a lot. I mean, we didn't really explain why Tressel had to resign, or other kind of things that you've heard college programs, whether it's with recruiting violations or whatever stuff, but with this name, image, likeness thing that's been changed, Tyvis. Well, one, would you be able to explain that to people maybe who are like, how has it changed? And what is this name, image, likeness kind of deal that went through? Would you be able to kind of layman's terms explain what that means?
So basically you get paid for your name. Like, so now you can, your jersey, for example, if somebody wants to buy a Tyvis Powell jersey, because Tyvis is my favorite player on the Buckeyes and he's playing on Saturdays and that's who I want to support, you can buy that jersey and Tyvis Powell would actually receive that money for that jersey. Like that's, so anytime like somebody say, I want you to sign an autograph for me, like you could be like, all right, how much? And they boom, you can sign it, you get paid for your autograph and stuff like that. So that's basically what it is. People doing these sponsorships, I seen Canes was a huge one. So basically you're just like you the spokesperson for Canes. Like, okay, come eat at Canes with Tyvis Powell, Tyvis Canes, the lunch of champions, blah, blah, that stuff.
Before this, college athletes weren't able to
get a thing. You couldn't get a free meal or it was a problem. So nothing.
Whether it's recruiting or while you're a student athlete, you could
never, not even in high school. Nothing.
Paid for appearances. You couldn't do any of that. But when this is passed, that they are allowing players.
You getting paid for appearances, you get paid for commercials, you getting paid for tweets, all that stuff, everything. So you basically they're living good because these companies are paying really well because everybody wants the Buckeyes to sponsor.
And I'm not trying to I would never want to get anyone in trouble, but were conversations among players being had about like, man, I wish this, or hey, I had
what was it? Come on, what you think? Listen, we would sit back and I'd just be like, it's a shame that like I'm grateful for my scholarship 100%. I took advantage of it. I got my degree, everything, and I am 100% grateful for that. But they getting that now with some couple dollars in their pocket. Come on, man. I would have ate like a fat rat.
Yeah.
We'd have been back when we went to daddy. Yeah. My whole team we'd have been probably the richest kids in college.
I mean, you look at, some of those names and what their like expectations were, not only in the college level production, but I don't think any coach recruits players not wanting them to go to the next level, but there's a certain difference of pedigree, even at WVU and Ohio State, right? Just like these factory of programs that create at least NFL level talent.
Yes.
And I have to imagine that, the conversations happening inside college locker rooms now are maybe just a little bit more public than maybe what some of the other ones were.
Well, yeah, with social media nowadays, it's not too many things that's confidential nowadays. And now with Twitter and all that, they can just completely share their thoughts, everything. And some people record things and put it out on Instagram and like have podcasts. It's all kind of ways. It's different. Like back in the days, back in the 90s, like for example, if you was a fan of Michael Jordan, there was no way for you to reach Michael Jordan unless you kind of like saw him out luckily, and that was it. Yeah. Nowadays, you could tweet LeBron, and he might respond to you if you say the right thing. He just might say something back to you. You'd be like, "Man, I actually can talk to LeBron," type thing. So yeah,
but even in the '90s, Tyvis, like there weren't a lot of pictures, or like you had to watch TV for highlights. The internet wasn't a thing, so you would read Sports Illustrated for kids, or do like and see these cool pictures, or get books and NBA on NBC on Sunday. Dude, I wore out so many laundry baskets, putting them on the couch and having a basketball and just shooting and it's fandom, and being a fan of sports is just way, way different.
It is
different now. That's a really, really good point. What is one of your favorite memories from that national championship, Tyvis? Like when you think back to that game and that time with the team, winning.
I tell you what my favorite memory of that game was. My favorite memory of that game was right before halftime. It's my favorite play of the game. It's when I made the goal line stop on 4th and whatever it was.
This is where I feel bad, because I'm sure there are Buckeye fans listening to this and they're like, Chase, that was the dumbest question, because you knew what you were talking to. You knew the answer to that question would have been a 4th down stop at the goal line before halftime. It was a huge play.
Yeah, it was like that play right there kind of like ended Oregon. Like after that happened, it was like all downhill. It's like it took all their energy and all their passion just completely went away, because you drive down the field and you're down and you need this touchdown. I think, I don't even know what the score was, but we were up maybe 2 touchdowns. I'm not really sure, but you drive all the way down the field and you get to the 1-yard line and you get stopped like that. And I think we got the ball back. Yeah, we got the ball back starting in the second half. So it's like, man, it's over with. Like our offense is clicking right now. We can't stop them right now. And we need to get some momentum going into halftime, and to get stopped like that. But the reason it was my favorite play is because that running back, I think it was Tyner. It was Tyner. Tyner was running that ball so hard. When I made contact, boom, right? I stopped him, but I didn't bring him down. Like he could have very well scored it, because he had like a lot of fight in him. What made the play so special is that I'd say about 7 dudes from the Buckeyes came and helped me make that tackle. And I was like, my boys, boys is here. They're not going. I knew they wasn't going to leave me out here like this. I knew that they was going to have my back. And that's what made the play so special, is that my boys showed up when I needed them the most.
I love that. So you're amped up right now. Like that gets your blood pumping, man.
It had me fired up. I was like, because he was going to score. Like he literally, I hit him and I got a good hit on him, but it wasn't good enough. Like I was holding on for dear life, and my boys came and just jumped on him and helped me stop it. I'm like, thank y'all. I can rock with y'all for the rest of my life. Dude, I got y'all back forever.
Football, I think, is the ultimate team sport. More than basketball. Baseball's not that huge of a team sport. Like the ultimate team sport. You have 11 guys doing the best that they can, how they're supposed to do it, where they're supposed to do it, when they're supposed to do it, for defensive schemes, offensive plays, all of that to work.
All that.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And even those like slugfest games where it's like, oh, it's 6-3. Like that's not everyone's cup of tea, but
it's mine.
It is a beautiful thing, and to see all of that, like it is just. It is, yeah, man. So
because it's really predicated on like you literally have to do your job, and I have to trust the person next to me to do his job. Because if I for a slight second think that you're not gonna do your job, it's gonna make me not do my job because I think I gotta overcompensate to do your job and my job. So if you have a little bit of doubt, it's not gonna work, and that's how big plays happen because ultimately it's somebody that's trying to do something that they shouldn't be doing, and that's when the plays happen. See, in basketball is different. Basketball, if LeBron James gets hot or Steph Curry get hot and he ain't gonna miss, he can just take over the whole game single-handed. He don't even need the other 4 players. Just give me the ball and get out the way.
It does seem like, and I talk about this a lot in our Cavs pod, basketball a lot of times comes down to who has the best player on the court, where a lot of times that matters. In football, you could have the best player, but that doesn't always mean that you're.
If the other 10 players ain't doing nothing, like I said, if Tom Brady could be on fire that day, but if them wide receivers ain't catching or if that offensive line ain't blocking, it don't matter. It doesn't matter at all.
Well, Tyvis, let's take a quick break. I want to come back and we'll talk about the NFL because this is an incredible football weekend. I want to talk about it. And so stick around on the Chase Smith podcast. We'll be right back.
Hello, Brooks here with the Books with Brooks monthly book club podcast. Here's how Books with Brooks works. We read one book a month and then we talk about it. Classics like Stephen King's The Shining, debut novels like We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang, and tons of other compelling, life-changing stories, one book and 1 month at a time. So come read along with us and then listen in.
Hey everyone, it's JD from the Hyman Podcast. Back by popular demand, I'm excited to let you know that new episodes of the Hyman Podcast will drop every other Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. We're going to continue the conversations we started last season and keep having those hard conversations. There is so much in store for you this season, and I'm excited to share it with you. Subscribe today so you don't miss a single moment. The Hyman Podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
All right, we're back. Tyvis, Powell here on the Chase Smith podcast. We're having a great time. Tyvis, we could talk all night, and we get to talk again tomorrow night, man. Our families are going to dinner. We're going to get some pizza. It's great. But hey, I want to talk about the NFL because we spent a little bit talking about college football and my non-fandom, but I do like it. I just, I'm not one of those crazy, but let's talk NFL, man. Because we just had some are calling it the greatest football weekend ever. Have you seen that hyperbole?
I think I said it myself. I've only been alive for 27 years, but in my 27 years, that was amazing.
Just incredible. Game winner field goal after game winning field goal. A lot of discourse over overtime, over NFL overtime rules. A lot of discourse on the importance of special teams. A lot of discourse on quarterbacks and the importance of having a quarterback like that, winning a game, getting sacked 9 times and throwing 3 interceptions is more like there's just a lot of really, really great conversations happening around the NFL weekend. What game, Tyvis, this weekend was your favorite? And what is your biggest takeaway from this incredible NFL playoff weekend we just had?
Well, my favorite obviously was probably the Bills and the Chiefs, but I definitely enjoyed watching the Rams and Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Because Tom Brady is the GOAT, okay?
He is.
Hands down, there's no arguments about it. When Tom Brady went down, I think it was 27-3, and it's like
he turned his cap backwards and he was like, all right, that's real. That's what he did.
See, this when when Tom goes when they show Tom sitting on that bench and his head is down, that's when you better get ready, because he's really going into another place mentally. So
that's the over the top hat backwards. It's time to roll.
To see him go down like that, because I mean, he did it obviously in that Super Bowl on the greatest stage ever and end up winning that. But to see him do it again and bring his team back with a chance to actually win the game, like it was just incredible, man. And it just shows that why people talk about him the way they do, and why he is the best quarterback that this game has ever seen. Because it don't matter what the situation may be, with Tom Brady, you always have a chance to win a game. So that's why I enjoy watching that game.
Before the break, we were talking about how the ultimate team sport is football, and you have 11 guys and they're doing their thing and everyone needs to do their thing. And I think we saw examples on both sides of the coin with that. One of the Chiefs Bills and a lot of kind of plays that have been making its rounds on social is the Chiefs 13-second drive to kick that game tying field goal where Kelsey and Mahomes and Tyreek were talking on the sideline, and Kelsey's like, hey, if they're doing this, Tyreek, they're almost like drawing plays in dirt, Tyvis, about what they're going to do. And this is 13 seconds left. You know what I mean? Playing, second round of the playoffs. And then they go do that. And then Kelsey goes to Mahomes. He's like, hey, if that's open again, I'm just going to go do this.
Yeah.
And then there's, they have the audio, and in the cadence, you hear Mahomes say, Kelsey, do it. Kelsey, do it. Hike. And Kelsey runs that seam route, and all of a sudden 13 seconds, they're forcing overtime. That is teamwork at a whole nother level. That's like, hey, I trust you. You trust me. We've played so long. Here's what we're going to do. And let's just go do it.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. And on the flip side of that, you saw this was Stafford's 40-yard bomb to Cup. There was some defensive breakdown with the Bucs where
it was the worst defensive call I've seen in a while. I mean, he literally was playing cover zero. You don't do that in that situation. You literally just play back, try not to let him get out of bounds. Keep everything in front of you. He called that slot blitz and put your strong safety and coverage on the best wide receiver statistically this year.
Yep.
One-on-one for the game. Like that, you don't do that. That was terrible.
And so we see this like polar opposite of like, hey, we're off in this one single hive mind. Here's what we're going to do, and we're just going to make it happen. And even the Bengals final drive, man, like they had 40 seconds to get in field goal range, and they got protection when they needed it. Burrow put it where he needed to when needed, and Jamar Chase was able to get where he needed to.
Yes, he did.
And it's just the ultimate team sport, and it's vulnerable, and everyone can see these mistakes, or they can see what works, and it is just fascinating to see. So that means this weekend we have the Bengals and the Chiefs playing for the Super Bowl, and we have the Rams and the 49ers. Tyvis,
yes.
Let's start with the Bengals and the Chiefs. What do you see happening? The Bengals and the Chiefs.
Well, due to the fact that they played 2-3 weeks ago, it was a shootout. The Bengals ended up winning that game, I think by either 4 or maybe
there was a last second touchdown at Chiefs. The Bengals had, and it clinched the AFC North for the Bengals.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah. So with that being said, I think the Chiefs is definitely going to come out there and be very aggressive. The good news is, they've seen each other both play, and they know what to expect from both. So I think both teams are going to game plan. Obviously they're going to figure out what worked. They're going to go back, watch the tape, see what worked, and really try to work on that and build a game plan around that. But I will. Joe Burrow is just starting to become like a young Tom Brady right before our very eyes. He's becoming one of those guys that you really don't want to bet against because he has the resiliency to get through and find a way to win games. And that's what I always said about Joe. When I came back, because he was at Ohio State when I was there.
Yeah.
When I watched him play, I was
on that 2015 team.
When I watched Joe play, I always said, like, this man is resilient. Like, he finds ways to win games no matter what the situation may be. So it's hard to bet against him. I mean, it is. And I understand Kansas City is great. But I will say, in my experience, what I do know is it's hard to beat a team twice. So with that being said, I don't know. It's really a coin toss. I would like to see the Bengals win because of my ties with them.
What a cool story.
Yeah, with Joe, with Sam, Vaughn, Eli, Isaiah Prince. I know all those guys personally because I played with them. So I want them to go.
Yeah, man.
But I do, the way Patrick Mahomes is playing right now, which, I mean, they was playing good back when they beat him. So
yeah.
I don't know.
I
really don't know.
I
think it depends on if the offensive line can protect Joe, and it depends on
won't.
Whichever defense plays the best that day.
Yeah, I love what Burrow said. Someone asked him, "Do you guys ever afraid some of these moments are too big for you?" And Joe was like, "You don't know what you don't know, and we're just going in. We got a bunch of young guys that we know how to play together." Which I think is getting overlooked. His ability to have that connection kind of right away with Jamar Chase. And I mean, to see what Mahomes, Kelsey, and Hill have developed over the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, Burrow and Chase already have that right now. Yeah. I think that gets overlooked. Hey, we don't know what we don't know. No moment feels too big because we're all just like doing this together and you don't know what you don't know. And I love that. I love that kind of like, I don't want to say pride, but just like confidence in each other and in the team unit. Like they believe in each other.
Absolutely. Listen, when you go into these hostile environments, I mean, all you got is each other. Like you have to put all your faith in each other. If you don't believe in each other, it's going to crumble. So you have to believe that the next guy is the best player that you ever played with. And he's going to do everything in his power he can to win that game. Like for example, when we won a national championship, after that game, I was so exhausted because I literally gave it everything I had. I had no energy left to even go out and celebrate because I was just like, I gave this team everything I had. That's how you got to have it. That's the mindset that you got to have when you in these moments, and another thing about the Bengals in particular is none of this is promised. It's not like, people are like, oh yeah, they're young. This is the next up and coming team. You never know what happens. The only thing you can control is now. Right now.
Yeah.
You gotta make sure that you do everything you can to win it now because next year is not promised. Anything can happen where somebody can get hurt, God forbid, could get hurt and probably never be the same. So it's like we only guaranteed this one opportunity. We got to make the most of this one opportunity and win it all now. We can't be thinking about next year we're gonna do this. No. We need to do it now.
Mm-hmm. It is such a great story. And I just think when even with the coaching, you put the coaching side by side and you put the rosters side by side. I think the edge goes to the Chiefs. I think the Bengals are a really fun pick. And I think Burrow is a stud. And I think they're going to be a problem, for a long time. I
know it's hard to go against the Chiefs. It is. It really is.
Very much so.
But I'm telling you, that man Joe, with Joe on your team, it's like Brady. You got a chance, man, because he's going to figure it out. He's going to find a way.
And maybe I just need to see it more. I mean, you have this incredible perspective right now. And
listen, dude, the game, it can go one or two ways. It's either go very close, come down to the end, or
I think Chiefs by 10.
The Chiefs gonna run away with it. It's one of the two ways.
I think it'll be Chiefs by 10, and that's only because the Bengals will get a late score and it'll be a little closer. I think it'll be like first half close, and then I just like after halftime, third quarter, I think it'll just be like, oh.
I'm telling you, it's all about the defense because offensively, the Bengals' weapons is as good as anybody's in the league. They got probably the best offensive receiving core, period. And the Chiefs secondary stinks. The only person you could probably even name is Tyrann Mathieu. So with that being said, that's a problem. Like that
Browns fans can name the guy who helmet to helmet on Hollywood Higgins last year.
Daniel Sorensen.
Yeah.
Sorensen.
The only other name I think at least Browns fans.
Oh, I can see me. I can name the whole thing because obviously I'm a fan. You got Ward, Sorensen, Tyrann, Jawan Thornton, and you got the other corner, Mike Hughes.
Honey Badger's no joke though, man. He's bad, man. He's bad.
He is.
So what's your prediction, Tyvis? I'm saying Chiefs by 10.
I'm not saying that.
You don't have to.
It's gonna be a 3 to 4 point game, and I can see it going either way. I'm not gonna pick a team, but it's just 3 or 4 point game, and I can see either team actually winning.
That's fine. I won't make you pick.
Dang.
I won't make you pick. I won't do. I will. Well, maybe you could help me with this next game. Rams 49ers. What look into your crystal ball here, Tyvis? What do you see happening in that game?
I think the Rams is gonna win that game.
Mm-hmm.
I do, because San Fran's beaten them twice this season, and the last time they played, the Rams actually were up by like 10 or 17 or 13, some points like that. And Jimmy G went crazy and he started making all these throws, and the San Fran came back and won the game. I think you don't make that mistake again. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you get up early and you hold the lead this time. And I definitely could see the Rams doing that. I do. Now I will say that I like San Fran. Obviously, I got ties to San Fran. I played there for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I understand the coach that Kyle Shanahan is, but I can't imagine the Rams losing to the same team 3 times in one season. It's kind of like my same prediction with Georgia beating Alabama in the championship game.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to beat a team. Like, obviously San Fran done it twice this year. I would be floored if they beat them 3 times in one season. Especially for a chance to go to the national championship. I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah. I have the Rams by 7 against the 49ers this weekend. You said the Rams, you have a spread or a point total you think the Rams will win by?
By 6.
Rams by 6. I think that's fair. I think the Rams have a better defense. I think Aaron Darnold is just, dude, he's just nasty. Dude, it's almost a cheat code. He's almost
and
a
they
cheat
got
code.
Von Miller now. It's a lot. Yeah. And they got Leonard Floyd. That pass rush for them is like, but I will say Nick Bosa is unbelievable. Go Bucks. Nick Bosa is unbelievable. And DeMeco Ryans, the DC for the San Francisco, really calls some really good games. Mm-hmm. So if they can find a way to contain Cooper Kupp, I think it'll actually be closer than a lot of people think. But if Cooper Kupp starts to get loose, that's when, it gets out of hand.
Hopefully we have another great football weekend, Tyvis, and then you get a week off and then the Super Bowl. And then you got the off season.
Yes.
Which is sad in its own right. And then we got to wait months and months and months. And
well, it won't be that sad for Browns fans because, there's a lot of stuff that's going on this off season, with trying to figure out who, because everybody, the big question is who's going to be the quarterback next year. I personally think it'll be Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
I think he's earned that right to at least come back on a 5th-year option and see how he does. I'm praying that the Browns can find a way to get some offensive receiving weapons around him. Let him really get a true test of, actually having a good receiving core that can get open and get separation and see if he can put that ball on him. And if he struggles with a good receiving core, then the writing's kind of on the wall.
Yeah. Look, I could talk about the Browns for a whole nother episode. I want to respect your time. And I want to encourage people to check out the Orange is Oranger. You guys are getting ready to kind of hit the ground.
Me and Holly really go dive into this thing.
Hit the ground running in February. It's going to be great. If you like the Browns, want to hear about the Browns, check them out. The Orange is Orange Browns podcast. And this is going to be the best Browns coverage content you'll find in Tyvis. I think you guys, it's going to be the best, bar none. Like it's just going to be the best. You're going to have the best guests. You're going to have the best insight, and I can't wait to listen. And maybe join in every now and then. I don't know.
Are you gonna pop in on
this? Maybe we'll hop in. But this has been a ton of fun. I can't wait to get a bunch of crap for people who are like, "Well, you're the network and you're on college." Like it's just,
it's unbelievable.
It could get nasty, but it's okay. Hey, I'm not going to try to pretend that.
Be yourself. You're right. Be yourself. But for you to be living that close to Columbus and not be a Buckeye fan, it's really a crime.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe I just needed someone to give me a tour of the locker room and all that stuff.
So that's what this is about. Now we get into the thick of it.
No, man, I would be embarrassed because I would just, enjoy it, obviously. Dude, I have a funny story, and not to take more time. I joined Sam a press row at the Cavs for a Cavs game a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. Now that I was fanboying a lot. I grew up watching the team, grew up going to their games, and all of a sudden I'm sitting with the media. I'm in the locker room. I'm on the court before the game, and I got this thing. And after the game, I was able to be with talking to the players, and I asked Kevin Love a question. It was Colin Sexton's rookie year, Tyvis. Colin Sexton was just incredibly kind, super generous, was really, really nice talking. And I didn't know this is the game that Kevin Love got injured. So he didn't play again the rest of the year. So he was hurt. No one knew he was hurt. And Kevin Love was the last one to get back to the locker room, just got out of the shower. I said, Kevin, a lot of people talk about Colin Sexton, how hard he plays, how he's just always going super, super hard. Kevin, you played with Russell Westbrook at UCLA. Do you see any resemblance in their game? And he looked at me and he said, no. And that was it. I thought that was a great question. I thought it was a compliment to Sexton. I thought it was showing that I knew what no. And that was it, bro. I was like, oh my gosh. I think Sam just shook his head. He was like, no, this was
you had to keep it short and sweet. You can't. Because then if he would have given an explanation, it would have seemed like he was leaning towards one. And it probably would have made the other one feel bad. So you just simple no. Don't even elaborate.
No, and it was just oh, okay, I'll just shut up the rest of my life. That's all that'll work. But Tyvis, thank you so much, man, for coming on the pod. It was great to talk to you. I can't wait to hear you guys on the Orange is Oranger. And you guys are going to start recording February?
Yes, first episode I believe is February 8th. I think.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. I cannot wait. Well, that does it for this episode of the Chase Smith Podcast. Thank you all so much for downloading and listening. Shouts to the Press Play Podcast Network for making this possible. Follow us online at Press Play Pods. Visit our website at pressplaypodcast.com to keep up with all of our shows and network news. And we got a bunch of news we're going to be sharing here in just a few weeks. I cannot wait for you all to hear that. I'm also trying to reach 75 iTunes reviews before the Super Bowl. Do me a solid, subscribe and leave a kind review. That'd be incredibly generous of you, and I'd very much appreciate it. Tyvis, where can we follow you online, my man?
I am on Twitter and Instagram at one Tyvis. That is at the number one Tyvis, Tyvis on all social media platforms.
Well, thank you so much, Tyvis, for joining the show, and we'll be in touch, my man.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, listen, Bucks. Go Bucks. Let's go. OH.
I